From the bustling trading floors of Wall Street to the vibrant exchanges of Asian stock markets, WION breaks it down for you to make sense of what's happening, as we reveal the key factors behind events, strategic battles, and the game-changing business decisions that shape the world. We bring you all of this and more on World Business Watch.
Anarchy unfolds across US college campuses. Pro-Palestinian protesters hold a US education system to ransom. Anti-Semitism peaks. Universities can't guarantee Jewish professors and students safety. Biden condemns anti-Semitic protests. Police begin making arrests in Yale and NYU. Mass arrests and online classes. Pro-Palestine protests sweep US college campuses.
Welcome to WION Live broadcast from New York City. I'm your host, Susan Tehrani. First, let's take a look at this hour's headlines before going straight to our first story. The trial of former U.S. President Donald Trump resumes, where the judge will consider if Donald Trump violated a gag order in the Stormy Daniels so-called hush money case. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken embarks on a high-stakes trip to China to bolster ties and also share Washington's concerns over Beijing's support for Russian military. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk welcomes UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak and NATO Chief Jens Stoltenberg to Warsaw for talks about further aid from Ukraine. Russia is canceling the procession of commemorate World War II victims for security concerns. The march was canceled last year as well. Qatar's foreign minister says that Hamas's political leadership will stay in Doha as long as their presence remains beneficial to mediation efforts aimed at ending the war in Gaza. Floods swamped cities in southern China's densely populated Pearl River Delta following record-breaking rains, sparking worries about the region's defense against bigger deluges induced by extreme weather events. Jamal Murray scores a buzzer beater to help defending champions Denver Nuggets go 2-ahead against the Lakers in the playoffs. LeBron James fumes at the officials and walks out of the post-game press conference. As the war in the Middle East drags on, other parts of the world are also dealing with the ripple effects. U.S. universities have also become a battleground as they're witnessing massive pro-Palestine and pro-Israel protests. Protests have now spread to major universities across the country, and some arrests have also been made. Authorities in top American universities are struggling to contain these protests. Pro-Palestinian demonstrators are now taking place at Yale, Columbia, NYU, MIT, and other university campuses.
Occupation no more!
We're here first and foremost for a free and liberated Palestine, and we're also here to speak up about demilitarization of our campus and campuses across the country.
A number of arrests were made at NYU, New York University, on Monday night. Police say the arrests were made after the university asked them to enforce trespassing violations. Exact number of arrests at that location are not yet known, but at least 45 people were arrested at Yale campus. Earlier, more than 100 demonstrators were also arrested at Columbia University. Classes have gone in complete hybrid mode at Columbia University until the end of the semester. In-person classes have also been canceled in other universities as well. Demonstrations and heated debates about the Israel-Hamas war has rocked U.S. campuses since the Hamas attack on Israel on October 7th. There have been a rise in both anti-Semitic and Islamophobic incidents since then. U.S. President Joe Biden, while reacting to the latest protests, said that he condemns the anti-Semitic protests while also condemns those who don't understand what's going on with the Palestinians.
Embodies the spirit of Earth Day. On this day 54 years ago, with literally toxic rivers burning, air filled with pollution, millions of Americans from every age and background rallied together to stand for our environment and for future generations. I got to know Senator Gordon Nelson.
Donald Trump's first criminal trial will resume shortly. The case is being called the hush money payment trial, but it has to do with influencing the 2016 election results. Trump has pleaded not guilty to 34 counts. Before the trial resumes, Judge Juan Merchan is going to hold a separate hearing. The district attorney's office brought a motion to sanction Donald Trump for violating the judge's gag order. Trump has been accused of discussing the witnesses. It has been proposed that Trump should pay a $1,000 fine for every gag order violation. Yesterday, the prosecutors and defense made the opening statements. Two statements that stood out from each side were as follows. Let's start with the prosecutors. They said that, this is a quote, "The catch and kill scheme has Trump's blessing. It was bearing negative stories before the 2016 presidential election in a bid to influence the outcome." The catch and kill scheme here is a reference to David Pecker. He was the president of the National Enquirer, an American tabloid newspaper back then, and prosecutors are alleging that the two were actively working together to influence the election outcome. For instance, AMI would publish flattering stories about Donald Trump and kill negative stories that could harm his campaign. Yesterday, Pecker was the first witness to take the stand against the former president. Now coming to the defense, Trump's attorney said, and this is a quote as well, that there's nothing wrong with trying to influence an election. It's called democracy. The entire trial is about Trump hiding and falsifying documents to influence voters. The defense attorney categorically denied those allegations, but he did not dispute the paper trail existed. He argued to the jury that there was nothing illegal about signing non-disclosure agreements known as NDAs, which is true. The hush money itself is not illegal here in the United States. Trump had an alleged affair with porn star Stormy Daniels back in 2006, and to keep it secret, he paid Daniels a sum of $130,000 US. The crime Trump has been accused of is falsifying documents to hide those transactions. All this before the 2016 U.S. presidential elections. The case is historic because it's the first time in U.S. history that a former president is facing a criminal trial. The entire process can take anywhere from 6 to 8 weeks. If convicted, Trump could be sentenced to 4 years in prison.
How do you feel, Mr. Trump? How do you feel?
While the U.S. is slated to vote to approve the $61 billion military aid package to Ukraine later today, Russia vows to intensify its strikes on Ukrainian storage bases that house Western-supplied weapons. Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu said that in a briefing, and also asserted that Russian forces have gained the advantage along with a 1,000-kilometer battlefront. Take a listen.
In proportion to the threats posed by the United States and its allies, we will continue to improve the composition and structure of the armed forces and increase the production of the most popular weapons and military equipment. We will increase the intensity of attacks on logistics centers and storage bases for Western weapons. The Russian armed forces will continue to solve assigned tasks until the objectives of the special operation are fully achieved.
Shoigu repeated Russia's claim of capturing 3 villages in eastern Ukraine. Russian forces have made these gains in the last 48 hours. However, there's no confirmation from Kyiv about the losses on their front lines. Meanwhile, Russian missiles continue to bound Ukrainian cities. In the latest, Russian aerial strikes on the southern Ukrainian city of Odessa injured 9 people overnight, including 4 children. This, according to Ukrainian officials. The port city on the Black Sea has been targeted by relentless Russian missile and drone attacks since the start of the 2-year war. Several residential buildings in the city were damaged and caught fire. Local authorities say at least 14 apartments were damaged. Ukrainian Air Force said it downed 15 of the 16 Russian drones fired at its territory overnight. It added Russia also fired 2 ballistic missiles, but did not say whether they hit their targets. Some of the drones were fired at the capital, Kyiv, this according to city administrators. To fend off Russian attacks, Ukraine is desperately seeking U.S. military aid. U.S. Senate is expected to vote to approve the $61 billion military aid package after it was approved by the House on Saturday. It is likely to include air defense systems, mid to long-range missiles, and artillery shells, and could help Kyiv possibly slow Russia's advance. Over 80 earthquakes have struck Taiwan early Tuesday morning, and according to the nation's Central Weather Administration, the 6.3 magnitude tremors also caused a scare in the capital city of Taipei. Fresh tremors were felt at 2:26 a.m. local time, shaking the island nation. However, no casualties have been reported yet. Taiwan has been jolted by a series of earthquakes since April 3rd. Now, in East Taiwan's Hualien, at least 14 people died on April 3rd after a 7.2 magnitude earthquake struck the eastern part of the country. And since then, there's no end to Taiwan's miseries, according to the fire department in Hualien. The hotel, which had already been damaged on April 3rd, is no longer in operation. The building is leaning on its side. Taiwan lies near the junction of 2 tectonic plates, which makes the island nation prone to earthquakes. In 2016, over 100 deaths were reported after a major earthquake wrecked southern Taiwan, while a 7.3 magnitude quake killed more than 2,000 people in 1999. All right, for the latest on this, TVBS correspondent Jamie Lin has sent us this report from Taiwan, Taipei.
As Taiwan has been experiencing continuous earthquakes for the past 2 days, many people have complained about not getting the national level warning on their phones before the earthquakes struck. According to the Central Weather Administration, the warnings are only sent in areas where the estimated earthquake magnitude reaches 5.0 or above and the intensity reaches 4 or above on Taiwan's 7-level scale. The CWA Seismological Center added that although some municipalities did not receive the quake alerts, TV stations will broadcast an earthquake warning if the magnitude of the earthquake reaches 5.0 or above and the estimated intensity of the earthquake in any county or city is higher than 3. The CWA also warned the public not to believe online rumors about the possibility of a stronger earthquake, as Taiwan is experiencing normal seismic activities releasing energy from the April 3rd Hualien earthquake. Additionally, due to the weather front, short showers or heavy rainfall may occur in various places. With the frequent earthquakes and rainfall, President Tsai Ing-wen urged citizens to stay away from mountainous areas for the time being unless necessary. President Tsai also advised citizens to be aware of aftershocks and urged them to immediately get down, find cover, stay still when an earthquake strikes for self-protection. This is Jamie Lin Pinzon for TVBS World Taiwan.
Time for a short break, but don't go anywhere. When we come back, 10 crew members were killed as 2 Malaysian Navy helicopters collided mid-air during a rehearsal for a naval parade. Economic turmoil and global unrest have cast a shadow over President Joe Biden's approval ratings.
The rockets are continuing to be fired by Hamas in Gaza, although at a slower rate than previously.